Yo, what up, YouTube? Alonso Q, and I was wrong about Black Lives Matter. I am here to apologize. I'm going to do another one of these apology videos. Repentance for my SJW idiocy over the years. Black Lives Matter, I'm doing this one first because straight up, this is the one I feel stupidest about, man. If you know me, you know I've been outspoken against police brutality for a decade, or, you know, as long as I've been aware, I've been speaking out against racism, against police brutality, and so I naturally bought into all this Black Lives Matter stuff, and I defended people online, and the reality is, Black Lives Matter are liars and fucking cowards. And you know, I feel embarrassed that I backed these people up, because let me be clear, I do not approve of racism. I hate seeing people get shot by police. That's why I hopped on board with these guys, because I can't, you know, I guess maybe I'm a little too emotional sometimes. I got that liberal bleeding heart, even though I'm a libertarian. So when I see people get gunned down in the streets, my first thought is empathy, you know? And the media uses that against you. These Black Lives Matter use that against you because you just side with them when they say what happened. And you're like, oh, that guy's dead. He's not around to make his point. I'm just gonna believe that he was innocent. And a lot of times they're not innocent, and I didn't realize that, you know? The whole Black Lives Matter movement was founded on the Mike Brown case, and I never really looked into it. I just took the word of fucking, like the Young Turks or Daily Show or these super left-wing, super hardcore biased websites, Facebook, whatever it was where I got my information from. I thought Mike Brown was an innocent guy. Hands up, don't shoot. That's what the whole Black Lives Matter thing was based on. Turns out that whole thing was a lie. He assaulted the police officer, and he wasn't some innocent guy who got shot for no reason. And that's what the whole movement was based on, you know. But regardless, you know, more why they're liars and cowards. Well, that's one right there. They started the movement based on a lie. Hands up, don't shoot. Total lie. Total lie. Provable lie. But beyond that, they do this all the time. You know, they misrepresent the facts. Either they're completely ignorant on the facts, or they lie about it. And either way, it's disgusting, because all it takes is a little bit of open-minded research. If you're willing to prove yourself wrong and you get online, you'll find out that there is not an epidemic of cops killing black people or others racist. There's not an epidemic of racist attacks. And there's not really structural racism in this country anymore. So it's, you know, it's complicated. Obviously, there's higher rates of poverty and socioeconomic status, and all these different things come to play a factor. But police are not going hog wild, killing black people in the streets. And, you know, and this is that I've even been following groups like Cop Watch and Police the Police and these different groups for a long time. So I've always been aware that there is police brutality across the board, you know? And so when I saw Black Lives Matter, I was like, all right, the black community is getting on board with this. It's not just libertarians that care about this. Now we got a whole national movement. But they're not concerned about that. They're concerned about making it a racial issue. They're not trying to solve police brutality. They're not trying to change the laws. They're just out there to cause trouble. And look at how they, you know, I really started to realize this when all these riots started popping off, and we just had the riots in Charlotte, and you have liberals out there trying to call it a protest and trying to say it's mostly peaceful, but meanwhile people are ending up in the hospital. They're trying to light people on fire and shit. No, it's disgusting and deplorable, and people are making excuses for this. These idiots are trying to quote Dr. King saying that he approved the riots. Hint, no he fucking didn't. Jesus. But yeah, and then so I had seen that fucking I forget the guy's name. The guy who always wears the blue fucking down vest. He was on Stephen Colbert making the point that it's a decentralized group. And these people are fucking cowards with that shit. Because the leaders don't want to take any responsibility. So it's not really a movement. They say it's decentralized and that has benefits. But all decentralized means is nobody has to take responsibility for anything. It's not a real organization. And look, that I honestly can see where this may have started with good intention. And look, if you support Black Lives Matter, I'm not necessarily against you, because I know there's many people who just haven't researched the issue, and you just care about people's lives and you don't like seeing people dead, and these people are pushing a narrative. Lots of people are buying onto it and repeating it. So if you're ignorant on the subject, of course you're gonna side with the innocent people who are being shot down. And that's the problem with this hashtag turning into a protest movement. Because as a hashtag, Black Lives Matter, okay, I guess it's kind of clever. You're making a point, and anybody can get behind that and say, yeah, I totally believe Black Lives Matter. It makes me sad when I see black people get killed in the streets, especially by the state. And but a hashtag trying to turn that into a political philosophy is how you end up with this, because you end up with the leaders totally not in connection with the people on the ground. They're not denouncing violence. There's no outline for the protest because they say it's decentralized, because they don't want any responsibility. So it's a bullshit organization. They're committing crimes all across the country. They don't want any responsibility for it. They just think slavery happened, we get to do whatever we want. And it's a shame. Just look up the stats, black cops are more likely to kill a black man than a white cop is. Stuff like that, And just look at how they twist the media, If a white cop shoots a black man, the headline is going to be, white cop shoots black man. But if a black cop shoots a black man, the headline is going to say, another black man shot by police. Look at how they twist the language. But they always keep it racial. They're real fluid with this switching between cops hate black people and white cops hate black people. But when black cops kill black people, it doesn't fit their narrative, so they just switch over seamlessly into all cops hate black people. So these people are deceitful, they're liars, they're cowards, and nobody should get behind them. Latinos shouldn't get behind them, black people shouldn't get behind them, white people shouldn't get behind them. We should all stand together against police brutality. Look, I'm a libertarian. I think fucking I have a natural right, or I think speed limits and seatbelts violate my natural rights. But so I'm sympathetic to you guys, but not fucking violent protests in the street. Not people pushing this racial separatism and racial violence. It's out of control. And I didn't realize how wrong I was on this, I've made comments online in the past defending Black Lives Matter, and I think I criticized the new sheriff in Taos and some other people on my Facebook timeline. And I'm sorry if you see this. I apologize for calling you out for seeing this before I did. And I just encourage people to go look up the actual stats, and you'll find out that people are arrested basically in proportion to how much they commit crimes. And there's police killings, but they're on a spectrum. And sorry, I'm not trying to steal Sam Harris's point here, but he helped me understand this. You know, you've got some people on the far extreme who are criminal cops. Some of them are racist. All of them deserve to be in prison. These people on the far extreme. And then there's people on the other extreme who were completely justified in the killing because the criminal pulled out a gun and they were going to shoot the cop, and it was life or death. So you have life or death situation for the cop. You have total maliciousness on the part of the cop. And in between is where most of the killings lie. It's usually not black and white. And so when you talk about it being a spectrum and 1,000 police killings last year or whatever, you got to realize most of them were to some degree justified. And that's a debate we need to be having as a country. And I especially believe that because I hate the state having power over your life, especially in petty things. But we got to realize it's not the cops that are the problem. It's the overregulation of society. Anytime you pass a law, you give a cop the right to kill somebody over it. You know? Not like they're going to get off for free necessarily. There's still checks and balances. But anytime you pass a law, you're saying that a cop has a right to arrest somebody over that. And if a cop has a right to arrest somebody over it, that means there's a potential for that arrest to go wrong, which can end up in somebody's death. So every law you pass increases this problem. This is a problem of the state being too big. It's not a problem of racist police. And if there is a problem of a racist cop, all of America is behind you. That's the other big myth these guys are pushing, is that Americans don't care about unarmed black people being killed. They do. The difference is that the media is twisting a lot of these incidents, and they're saying people are innocent when they're not. So, you know, they're lumping people together that shouldn't be in the same group. You know, like somebody getting shot in the back while they run away is not the same as somebody punching a cop and trying to take their gun, you know? It's two different issues, but Black Lives Matter tries to make them the same because there's not enough incidents that fall into their narrative, so they lie and they try to make more cases than there really are. So I'm really frustrated with this because I bought into it and I made myself look foolish. And the only way we grow is when we acknowledge we make a mistake and move forward. You know, this country's in a way better position than I really thought it was. I thought there was more racism, and I attributed things to racism that weren't racist, you know. And this idea that we just say every cop is racist just because that's the narrative that we're trying to push right now, it's dishonest. And right now, it's sad because I've never trusted Republicans, but Republicans are speaking the most truth. Democrats are using this against us. And they're driving this racial wedge because they know that it's the Democratic policies that created this problem in the first place. All these poor neighborhoods where you're probably more likely to get into confrontations with cops are Democratic cities where welfare has destroyed the family system, and it's a direct consequence of social welfare programs pushed by the Democrats, and it has nothing to do with Jim Crow or slavery. Just look up crimes and crime stats on blacks between the 20s and the 50s. Things were totally different. Things were way better for black people back in the 50s, and I don't mean legally. I just mean in terms of family structure, in terms of wealth, in terms of, you know, social capital and things like that. So these guys are pushing lies, and they're too cowardly to own up to it, so they just hide behind this idea of, oh, it's a decentralized movement. We're not a top-down thing. I think, you know, that's bullshit. The only reason that they say that is so they're not culpable in the dozens and dozens of crimes that are being committed in their name. So again, anybody who I criticized, I apologize. I want to learn. I want to make this country better. I don't want to focus on race and divide us when we all have a common interest of dismantling the corrupt state. So let's all work together. Blacks, whites, Latinos, Native Americans, everybody. We need to lift each other up, not buy into this, and don't support a riot. Don't call it a protest. These rioters need to be shamed. They need to be arrested and prosecuted. We can't tolerate it. This is, people on the left are what's destroying this country right now. This is why people are flocking to Donald Trump, because Hillary Clinton is getting out there and placating to the rioters. We can't do this anymore, people. We got to open our eyes. Stop getting your news from Facebook and The Daily Show. Prove yourself wrong. If you're not willing to challenge your beliefs, then you don't really believe them. You're just parroting what other people are telling you to say. So that's all I gotta say. Let's work together. Peace and love. You know what it is, gente.